Okay, we're flying along with the electrics. What we've got is, round this way, I've put this USB socket in here, and I've put the reading lamp in, and now it's time for the ceiling lights. What I think I'll do with these ceiling lights is just leave them hanging and test them before I put them into place. They've got like little clips on the back, the clip into there, very difficult to get back out. So we'll test all of that first. In fact, I did put that one in by mistake, but that's okay, I'm sure it'll be alright. So the job is wire these lights up, and then we're going to get the battery in and we'll test this whole 12 volt circuit. And the way I'm doing the lights is I'm just cutting this wire. I'm going to take a fair bit off, strip the wire a fair bit so that I've got plenty to play with. Then if we strip the individual wires, okay, so with all of them stripped, essentially what we're going to do is just fit the light onto them. So the red from the light is going to go to those two, connect back together, and the black from the light goes to those two, connected back together. We're going to connect them back together with these blue through connector crimp things. So they'll just slide into there and then get crimped on, and that should all be sound. So that's it there. These are just crimped in like this to the light. That'll all stuff up under there, and then these little catches will catch on the wood and keep the light in place. Alrighty, so that's all of the lights connected up, and I've also, come down this way, floating about all over the place. We've got the leisure battery connected up just to the fuse box and to the earthing point. And if we check the panel, first switch powers the panel, that's good. Second one, the lights come on. There we go. And they are all working correctly, that's good. So knock that back off. Our USB port over here powers up, that's good. And the reading light powers up. So the only ones which I haven't checked there would be the fridge and the water pump. But my assumption is that they are good, everything else seems good. Alrighty, so we've wired up the controller also at this point. Let's see if we can get in and see this a bit better. Really simplicity itself to wire it up. You've got the wires coming from the starter battery going to the DC connection, and you've got the wires coming from the solar panel to the PV connection, and you've got the wires going to the target battery or the leisure battery. And that's it really. There's also a temperature sensor which just fits into the bottom here. So we're going to get that leisure battery in place. That is quite a weight. And let's just see which way around we're going to put this. I think we'll put it around this way, and it should slide back into the little foundation thing we made for it the other day. So it should. There it is. So we've got the negative, we've got the positive. Now I believe in these situations it's positive first. Fit that on. So I'll tighten that up. And then we've got the bunch of negative cables to sit on the other side. Just make sure I haven't got too much of that. No, I think that's all looking good. Right, so we want to get this one in there. Just pull the battery out a touch. There we go. A little bit tricky to get in there. Okie dokie. Now we'll just move them terminals round a touch so that they're all sitting nice and neat. Okay, so our battery's in place. The controller has turned itself on. Let's see if we can have a look at this. And that's what it's reading on the screen there, 12.7. So it's saying that this has got 12.7 volts in it. Now, what we want to do is connect this up to the starter battery and then flip these switches to allow the power to come in from the solar panel. And then we'll set the thing up. It's drawing power from the solar panel, that's what this is. And it's telling me what voltage is present in the battery. There's another couple of controls where you can simply set the amount of charge you want to come from the starter battery alternator when the van's running. I think there was a bulk charge and a float charge. Bulk charge to charge it up quickly, float charge just to keep it topped up. Very simple, actually, very simple setup. What we have is, let's have a look. Get this little instruction book with it, which is again straightforward. Press and hold the menu button for 2 seconds. Display will show bulk voltage setting. So if we do that, 14.4, and for this type of battery, 14.4. Now what's the next one? The float charge. Press and hold for 2 seconds and press the down key. It tells us that the float charge is 13.7, which again is correct for this type of battery. And that's about it. That's about it. So far so good with this. There's no error messages, everything seems to be okay with it. Obviously I'll run around in the van a little while, see how this all works out, but this is looking good, looking very good. Now, with that being so, and with all of the rest of the 12 volt electrics being in, then the very next thing that we want to look at is the shore power. Okay, so a decision has been made on the consumer unit. The shore power hookup is going outside, and unfortunately the one which I have isn't entirely waterproof. It's not as waterproof as I would like it to be. So I've had to order another one of those, but that's okay. That'll arrive, and it's simply a hole through the van, secure the thing outside somewhere, and then wire it into the unit. For the unit itself, the consumer unit, we have this cable which is going to feed the twin socket. So I'll wire this one in, and then I'll wire another one in which is going to feed the small socket here. But this is the same as household electrics really. So we have the earth, which is going to this bar here. We have the neutral, which is going to the neutral bar, and we have the live, which would go to the top of the breaker. So with the electrics as complete as they can get at this point, we're going to get back onto the cabinet making. And the first thing I want to do is get this fridge panel back in, but I'm going to vent it. I'm going to put some vents in the top, and when we come to put this overlay just above it, we'll leave a little air gap there so we'll get a flow of air through this cabinet where the fridge is going to be. And there it is. That'll just give the, the fridge the ability to breathe, keep some of that warm air coming back out of it and give it an airflow around. That's what we want. Okay, so we've got the fridge panel in, put a bar across here. This is just going to hold the front fascia on there when we put that on, and tightens everything up, squares it all up. We've got a little bit of work to do in the battery box here. We want a spar across the front and we want one across the back. That'll strengthen that up, and it'll give somewhere for the hatch to put up against. Okay, so we've got the battery box done. That's pretty good. All I'm going to do is put a piece of the worktop on the top of that on magnetic catches so it can be easily lifted off, and the front of it will drop down as a hatch. Here we're going to have these water containers, water canisters, and the LPG locker, and that just fits. That's a really tight fit, but good. Tight is good. Now in here, alright, it looks like we've got a mat and a securing strap. This would be the hole for the dropout. Now when I take a look at that, that's right in line with that pillar and practically in line with the window. So I'm going to nip under the van outside and see if there's anything obstructing that, whether it's hitting a strut or if there's any components there that we really don't want to be drilling into. Let's take a look. Just eyeballing that from the outside, I've got the actual window here, and I think we were just yon of the window. So on this line down here, So is there anything under there that would prevent the gas bottle from going in? It's about this point here. So if we crawl underneath and take a look. These wall templates have come in handy for many different things. So we're saying our mark anyhow is about here. That looks free. That looks free to me. There is a plate a little bit further along, but I'll just check that distance once more. After having checked again, pretty much sure this is where the hole's going for the dropout, and there's nothing underneath the van that I could possibly damage. So I've got my hole saw on there. I do hope the drill's up to it. We'll just remove everything from here. I've also put a shroud over the battery box just for dust. There will be a little bit of dust in here whilst we're doing this cabinet work. It made it. The old drill made it. Fantastic. So with the locker itself, it looks like this is the bracket which holds the bottle in place with this strap. I'm assuming that wants to be bolted through onto the far side. So I'm going to find a couple of bolts, stick that in, and then see how we're going to fix the locker into the van. Okay, there it is. I don't know if you can see that, light's pretty poor in here, but that bracket has to be strapped on. Right, so that's secure on the floor. We just have this to put on the inside, like so. I will stick that on with a bit more Sikaflex actually, just to make it secure, and then my gas locker is complete. So to work these drawers out, it's pen and paper time and a good steel rule. Now the clearance that we have is from this bar at the bottom, and there'll be a similar one coming across the top joining all these units together. So if we look at that, we've got, with a little bit of clearance, just so we're not too tight up against everything, we've got 61 centimeters. First drawer 15, it's got a little bit of wiggle room at the top, a little bit of wiggle room at the bottom. So top drawer is 15 centimeters here, and that makes my next one, again, a little bit of wiggle room. I'm going to say I'm going to make that 19 and a half, and the bottom drawer is now, I'll make that 24.5. Okay, now the runner itself is this is it here. It's a soft close. I didn't realise it was a soft close, but it is, and it takes a little bit of pressure to pull it open, which is good. That'll just tighten the drawer up a little bit as well. Obviously there'll be catches on the drawers, but that little tightness to pull it open is not a bad thing. Now the way that these work, I don't know if you've seen them before, you can pull the front rail out to attach it to the drawer, and it just makes it a little bit easier to get these on here. What we want to do is get the front mark of this rail, the very front of it, right against this 12mm line. The fronts of the drawers are going to be 12mm, and I want them to close flush with this panel. So we're going to put that, position it there, and get it right on that line, nice and level on the line. Now with that in place, what I'll do is just mark round where these holes are. Okay, that's them three on. There would be an argument for doing this before putting the panels on, but I didn't have these when I was putting the panels on. And I think this type of work is like this, you know, you're waiting for some things to arrive, you have to do one thing, wait for another, but it all works out. So these are looking very good, very pleased with them. As I say, they've got a little bit of pull on them, which will help to keep those drawers shut, and they're soft close, quality. Okay, so having the drawer runners in, we're next task. We're going to put this, secure this in here right the way through. This will be a good fixment for the worktop and stuff like that. And this will also work as door stops at the top and drawer stops. So we're going to fix this in, just going to screw it into there. And then I think we're very close to measuring up to make these drawers. I'm going to make the drawers out of this birch ply. I found a piece of birch ply which has been sitting there for a while. So we're going to cut some strips off this first for the depths of the drawers. Now the first one is 140. The second one was 175. The last one was 233. That's where 3 strips cut for the drawers. Back to the measurements. We see they're going to be 360 long. Okay, so I'm going to mark one of 360. Which is there. I'll put a square mark on that, and then I'm just going to whack these off on the chop saw. Alright, we have the batten, and we have 2 pieces of 6mm ply. And if we just offer this up, just holding like this, then that is a really nice snug fit in there. So the length of that batten is how long the back sections of the drawers need to be. Now for the drawer bottoms, I've found this piece of 5mm hardwood ply, and this will do fine for the bottoms of the drawers. We are going to then mark that out, cut a strip off, and then make the bottoms. So that's for mark. Now I think with the drawer bottoms it's important that they're square throughout, so I'll take this line off first and then we'll square all of this up. Alright, so we've got a piece of this cut off. Looking for the square, and this is the length of our drawer, so we're going to put that there, mark it, and use this fairly precise square to take that off. Okay, that's them 3 cut. Now just before we start putting these together, I'll just clean the edges a little bit, any rag off the saw. Okay, so our components are just about there. I'm just marking the backs of these, a very thin 6mm, it's definitely 6mm ply. Down there, do the same on that one. And I'm going to drill these and attempt to screw them together with very thin screws. So, a line of glue. I'll just put a stop on the bench here as well, so that the so that I'm not pushing it away from myself whilst putting the screws in. So we just want to line that up and make sure that's all nice and flush. Put the screw in and make sure that's flush also, and then just nice and slowly and the same for the bottom one. Now I've got a nice squeeze of glue coming out of there. We haven't come through the other side, so we're in business. Now this one, same. So at this point what we want to do is square these up and put the bottoms in. Now I have a square, and if I offer that up, that's pretty good. I'm seeing the back of that drawer is square. So I'll put some glue around it, and we're going to take one of these bottom panels and just put it on this leading edge first here. Make sure it's good there and good there, and of course square at the front, flush at the front. Now I'm just going to brad that on for now with the staple gun. This will just hold it whilst the glue is setting, and we'll put that right up that line. It's always still good at the front. They're a nice fit. Now I want to put the runners on next, so what I'm going to do is just chock them up at the front so that they've got the same amount of breathing space either side. And we're going to mark where these runners go at the front, and then we'll parallel the line along and screw the runner to the drawer. Now that's flush, and that's a little bit, I'm saying, there's a little block of wood in the back there that needs a tiny piece shaven off to just allow that to sit flush with the front of that, which I will do. But first I'm just going to mark the top and bottom of the runners. We'll do the same with all of them. Okay, so the general idea being, we've got the marks on the front there, just here, and we'll pull those lines along so that they are throughout the side of the drawer, and we'll use that as the parallel mark as the bottom line for the runner. Alright, so the first one has the rails in and no front yet, obviously, but that's nice and smooth. That opens all the way. It's got its soft close thing going on with it. Very pleased with that. Now, do the same for the middle one. Alright, so our next thing here is to make the doors for all of these various cabinets. Doors and drawer fronts. The good news is the sliding door, the tambour door, I believe they call it. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but it's a sliding door in my book. The elements for it arrived, but the spirals that go on the top come in a pair, and unfortunately they sent me 2 left ones. So I've tried to correct that. I've sent them a little message, and we might get that in a couple of days. But the components are there, and we will be able to get on with making that door very soon. But we're going to start from this end of the van, battery box, and work our way along. You might have noticed a change in the battery box here as well. I've reconfigured it. This unit, when it was on this panel here, didn't have good access to it, quite honestly. A little bit tight to get the head and everything in there. So I've just put a couple of spars across, and I've put it horizontally on the in the battery box. Had to make the box a little higher, but I think this is a much superior setup. So this is the first door which is going on. I was going to make this a drop down hatch again, reconsidered this. I'm going to take the door to about the midpoint here, about 12 centimeters in, 12 millimeters in from here, and I'm just going to have it on a straight opening hinge. As I say, the top of it is going to be a piece of the worktop, and that will be held in with strong magnetic catches. So we get easy access to this. We can open up, we've got access to our breakers and to our battery. I'm a little bit fiddly, a little bit mucking about with that, but I think it's a far superior job, and always worth doing. You know, if you do something and then later you come to it and think, oh, it's not working quite right, always best to take it out and do it again. So that's how the battery box is. We're going to measure this up, we're going to cut a piece of wood for it, and we're going to make a door. Okay, so the electrics are pretty much finished at this point. The cabinets are coming along very well, the gas locker's in, and we've made the drawers. In the next episode, we're going to be putting the cabinet fronts on, so we're going to make the doors, the drawer fronts, and hinge all of them on, fix them on properly. And then the worktop arrives. We're going to get the worktop in, and this again makes another major change in the van. So that's all coming up very soon. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to see the completed build, do subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Thanks very much.